share the story of how Sequoia Kung Fu began and what inspired you guys to open this space together?
We've both been doing these arts for quite some time now, a couple decades. We knew that we wanted to shift our job, our occupation into working in these spaces, and teaching these arts that we were very passionate about. We were living in China 8 years total, but as we were coming towards the end of that time there, and we started thinking about where we wanted to move, how we wanted to transition, what we wanted to do, so we thought, this is the time to do this. Let's take what we've learned, let's take it back to the States, and it makes sense to go to Visalia. That's where we're both from, families there. Maya really wanted to be close to her family, I wanted to be close to my family, and so we thought, let's go to Visalia and open up a school. Let's open up a school that teaches Chinese martial arts and yoga. What should we call it? Kung Fu and yoga. The name, Sequoia was chosen because, I grew up, basically College of Sequoias was a second home. My dad was a coach there for my entire life. Growing up there, I was surrounded by athletes of all different levels, all different ages. I always knew that being healthy, being fit, being active was a really important part of life. I want to open it up here. I want to make this something that is new for here. This is a new thing for kids growing up here, for adults here. This was not something that was available for me. I had to move to LA, to Seattle, to China to learn this stuff. We try to think of student always, teacher sometimes. So we're very much students of these arts. Traditional arts provide balance because they're a perspective that is coming from the before, that is unique, that is shared amongst a lot of different lineages and generations, and then you get your own teacher-to-teacher transmission. And so that's a very valuable perspective as everybody is looking into the modern world and how fitness and how health and wellness is being integrated into our lifestyle. Because that's really the important thing. That's what we all want. We want to be able to be healthy so we can have fun in our hobbies, which might be the things that make us healthy, like yoga and kung fu, and then also be strong in our leisure activities, to have other hobbies. You use the energy that you're creating in one space to build out other spaces. And that's kind of what we wanted to create in this space, and why we have offered different things like yoga and Tai Chi and Qigong and Kung Fu.
How has opening the school changed your life, both as individuals and as a couple?
Oh gosh, that's a loaded question. As far as my skill set as a teacher, I do have a background in teaching. And so coming into these arts and then coming into opening up the school, my instruction I always feel is an extension of what I'm learning as a student. That's part of my process, part of our process. And so I was really excited to teach these arts, share my experience. With that and opening the school, it really forced me to kind of step up and take a little more ownership of that journey. Having the confidence to say, look, I have this experience, I know what I'm talking about, and I can see in you that potential. So that's motivation for me in this part of the business aspect of no, I can do this. As a couple, communication, which we're still learning and working through. Playing with those different dynamics we had to learn. How's it on your end?
The biggest challenge as a couple is more of answering the question, Kung Fu yoga? Yeah, this is yoga that does Kung Fu? Oh yeah, all the time. All the time. People are like, Kung Fu yoga? What, so it's Kung Fu and yoga? That's our couple problem that we both share. That and whether we do hot yoga.
Do you do hot yoga?
Yeah.
Every day in June and July we do?
Yeah, June, July, August. Hot yoga, hot Tai Chi, hot Qigong, hot Kung Fu. It's all hot. It's all hot in here. Come on in.
Come on in.
Well, how's it opening to change me? Well, I've always wanted to just do Kung Fu. If I'm being honest. Freedom is very important to me. The freedom to just be able to put my effort into something that I'm going to enjoy, that's going to give back to me. The freedom to really train this art and share it with others. And that's a bit of a privilege. As an individual, it made me have to really start to look at what it means to practice these arts. What am I passing on? What am I trying to teach? What is the goal for my students? When a student walks in the door and I see them, what am I looking at? What am I looking for? Because a lot of the arts that I've studied haven't been put forth in a strict school setting like we have in the West. The biggest thing is, I think, a rededication to my training. As I progress as a student, I learn more about how to teach. And that's the type of teachers that I had. And so, my teachers were not dogmatic. They were about training the person first, wanting you to really learn to embody the art.
What do you guys hope for your students to feel when they leave class, each class?
Like they know Kung Fu. But seriously, for me, like when they leave class, like, 'cause I want them to feel physically like they have had a good workout. They've sweat, moved their body in as many different ways as they could. They were all around the room, maybe even using partner work. They're getting a very, very robust physical experience. Mentally, they are being challenged. They're having to follow instructions. They're having to remember techniques. They're having to look at their own technique. They're having to focus on group practice. And then I hope they have a lot of fun. You want to enjoy it. You want to enjoy it. You want to enjoy the practice. You don't want to have to go there and be like, oh, I don't like the teacher, he's a jerk, but I'm going because I really want to get this thing that's there. It's like, no, that's, to me, that's not reason enough to invest that much time into something like this where you have so many options.
For my students, I want them leaving class feeling better. I want them feeling a little more clarity, and I want them to feel their body. I want them to leave class feeling their body, whatever that is, so that when they leave, just be present in the body. Mind is part of the body, breath is part of the body. I want them more connected to their bodies. Like, yeah, I was standing in line at the grocery store, which I actually often will say, or we'll both say, like you're standing in line at the grocery store. And so they'll come back with a story. I was standing in line at the grocery store and I thought about you and did it,
And I changed my posture,
yeah,
and I changed
exactly.
my balance, and I took a breath, and I found my heels.
Yeah.
And that's very much what we're talking about.
Right.
That's grounding. That's grounding your practice. That's putting your practice in the body. We both try to put a lot of intention. One thing we do share is the physical practice. We all share the physical practice. There's that Kung Fu saying, the teacher leads you to the door, but it's the student who has to walk through it. And so we focus there, we really work there so that our students the door is the door inward, right? Once you take your practice inward, that's for you. Personal expression of universal principles.
Ooh, I like that.
I say all the time.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
What does Kung Fu mean to you?
Yeah, I'll answer it really simple. Because obviously it means a lot, but it means exactly what we were talking about just now. It means, how do I ground myself? When I feel my nervous system overstimulating, exciting, what process do I use to ground myself? If I'm having a bad day, what process do I use to ground myself? If I'm sore in my body, if an injury is like, oh my gosh, my shoulder, what do I use to ground myself? That's Kung Fu. That is my Kung Fu.
What does yoga mean to me? I often, especially if I'm wearing a tank top or something, right? Someone will see my shoulders, my arms, or they'll see my back, and they'll see my muscles, and they see my frame. And the first question I get is, you must work out, right? And I don't know how to answer that, because the simple question, and by their definition, yes. Yeah, I work out. But I don't see it that way. I don't conceptualize what I do in movement as a workout, because it is the thing I go to, not just physically on the mat and practicing, but just that mental space when you are consistent at doing something like this. There's a mental space you eventually occupy. But for me, when I'm, emotional, those are the tools I use to ground myself. When I'm in a hurry and I'm just go, 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 especially now as I'm in my 40s, heading toward my 50s and my body's changing. If I didn't have this practice, I wouldn't be aware of what the body is doing and how that affects my mental state, or vice versa. For me, this is more than just a workout. It's a process of observing myself. It's a process of, from the inside out, making this big kind of qualitative change that is going to follow me at every stage of the game. every stage of life.
You're looking to create a process, an inquisitive process that grounds you, that you can enjoy, that you can take with you. And then when you're in that process, that actually gives you more agency, more energy, more freedom to go do other things if you want to. So now if you, Maya at 47 years old, can go and start Kung Fu and do very well, and go start Qigong and have that supplement everything else, and then go do a little bit of Tai Chi, right? And so that's a big part of our practice. That's how you know if your practice is working for you.
I think what's interesting too is like, you know, as you get older, it's hard to be a beginner. It's hard to try new things. And people don't like to occupy that space very much because it's challenging. And they haven't occupied that probably since college, right? When was the last time the average adult was a true beginner at anything and worked through that to become proficient or intermediate even? We stopped doing that.
In the mind of the master, the possibilities are limited. In the mind of the beginner, the possibilities are endless. Right? So you got to keep the beginner's mind. My teacher, Andy Dale, would say that. It's still very fun and intriguing and gets me excited 20 plus years later.